I'm Kendra Cook, your host for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado. The Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest Colorado TV Translator Association. That's the Special District Association responsible for bringing the area free-to-access TV stations over the air by antenna. This is a community TV station if there's a news story or event information that you would like to share. Call us. It's 970-677-4119. If you're a business or organization, we welcome you to find out about sponsorship opportunities for banners or video segments run on the channel. This is the Tuesday program for July 21st, 2020. DCTV Daily News. Traveling has become even more complicated with the threat of Project COVID-19, and many are turning to self-contained RV vacations and traveling for keeping distance from others. The Journal reported with photos by Jerry McBride that the coronavirus pandemic halted much of the travel industry in late March, an industry that helps fuel Durango's economy and our whole Southwest. Flights were grounded, hotel rooms were left vacant, and people were told to stay home. Not even RV parks were spared. Westerly RV Park north of Durango was totally booked in March, but when the pandemic swept across the nation, it lost most of its business. Quote, "That was devastating," said Eugenie Schlitten, the co-owner of the park. But as a better understanding of the virus came into focus, people itching to leave the house after months of isolation realized that traveling in a recreational vehicle could be a, quote, "great solution to having a vacation during the pandemic." Schlitten said that health officials have said flying with strangers is a greater threat than driving with members of your own household. Hotels are also seen as potential spreaders of COVID-19. As a result, the pandemic has prompted millions of Americans to plan RV vacations this year, according to the Recreational Vehicle Industry Association. As of this month, Schlitten said that he was turning people away because her park off of U.S. Highway 550 near Hermosa was completely full. About 10 to 15% of those reserving spaces are not normally RV travelers, said Schlitten's husband and co-owner of the park, Jeff Schlitten. New Mexico's travel restrictions have also kept many travelers from crossing the state line, where they will have to self-isolate for 14 days. Looking for a place to stay, many of them end up staying in Durango, they said. But mask ordinances have also had an impact on the RV tourism industry. Schlitten said that many travelers called to cancel reservations in June because they didn't want to wear a mask on vacation. "It's been so volatile," Jeff Schlitten said of the RV travel industry, which has had many ups and downs since March, but there has been a definite uptick in the purchase of RVs, he said, most likely because there is less face-to-face interaction with other people by traveling in such a vehicle. Schlitten said that social distancing is easy at an RV park because there is, quote, "plenty of space between each site, and travelers don't have to risk staying in a hotel room where they are not sure how clean it is," she said. Now calls are coming in for reservations as far out as September. Public health officials across the country say COVID-19 is less contagious outside because the air disperses respiratory droplets faster than in an indoor setting. RVs can make travel seem safer by providing a user-controlled environment for cooking, sleeping, and using the restroom while visiting attractions like Colorado's many national parks. Park owners have had to make some adjustments, though, such as scheduling appointments for the laundry room. "Because we're so small and spacious, we haven't had to do major things," Schlitten said. Marty Layton with Durango RV Park also experienced an initial period of cancellations in March and April, and now she has a number of guests who are first-time campers. People are making spur-of-the-moment plans and traveling here from across the U.S. because they don't have to go back to work or can work remotely because of COVID-19. Still, her RV park is only 50% full. A normal July for the Durango RV Park sees 68 vehicles in the parking lot, but this year there are only 36 to 46. "We're taking a big financial hit," she said. Seniors are also hesitant to travel because of the virus. Doug Cook, general manager of Alpine Rose RV Park, just north of Durango, said that many people canceled their reservations when major events like graduations, weddings, and sporting events were canceled because of COVID-19. But starting with Independence Day weekend, Alpine Rose RV Park has been completely booked. There are quite a few more families with children than we normally get, Cook said. RV sales are also becoming are booming across the country, Cook said, particularly for families. Quote, July is a record for us, Cook said. There's a sense of safety in an RV during the pandemic because it is a form of self-isolation. It's also a fun way for families to travel that saves costs, he said. And of course, in our area, the attraction is mostly the natural landscapes, which have plenty of space to keep visitors separated and able to experience, at least for now, a sense of being out in the woods or desert or mountains without seeing many other people most of the time. This may change, however, and the Forest Service and BLM, that's the Bureau of Land Management, are looking at the campsite management plans and whether some areas merit expansion or not. The impacts of the implementation of lockdown and virus scare are far-reaching, and an RV seems like a good idea to stay contained and separated as needed. So now let's take a look at the local weather through this weekend. So as you can see by the graphics, which apparently match my top, here comes the chance for a monsoon season this summer. Let's hope for gentle rains and no flooding or lightning fires. That being said, we are looking for today a slight 20% chance of rain between 2 and 3 p.m.-ish, and then possibly showers and thunderstorms after 3. Sunny with a high near 89, mostly with southeast winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour. For tonight, a 30% chance of showers, mainly before 9. Mostly cloudy and a low around 60 degrees with north winds at 5 to 10. Wednesday, a 50% chance for showers and then a chance for showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon again. Partly sunny with a high near 79 degrees with south-southeast winds at again just 5 to 10 miles an hour. For Wednesday night, a 20% chance for showers and thunderstorms before 9 and then a slight chance of showers until midnight with partly cloudy skies and a low around 56 with west-northwest winds around 5 miles an hour becoming calm in the evening. That's what we like to hear. And again on Thursday, a 40% chance for showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, mostly sunny and a high near 84. Calm winds, but there could be some gusts to 20. For Thursday night, a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy skies and a low around 57. For Friday, we remain in the same pattern, showing a 50% chance for showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon. Partly sunny and a high near 79 degrees for Friday. Into Friday night, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy and a low around 55. And continuing through the weekend, Saturday, a chance for showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon, mostly sunny and a high near 80. Saturday night, a chance for showers and thunderstorms before midnight, partly cloudy and a low around 56. And a repeat for Sunday, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly sunny with a high near 81. Sunday night, partly cloudy with a low around 56. So hopefully throughout this week, there will be some precipitation we can actually count on, as everything is so very dry out there. And now, back to our news. The Journal reports from New Mexico that the BLM, and that again is the Bureau of Land Management, faces lawsuits over oil and gas leases with regard to Chaco Canyon area and the Antiquities. A coalition of environmental groups has filed a lawsuit against the Bureau of Land Management accusing the federal agency of not allowing a comment period on the environmental assessment for oil and gas leases in New Mexico. This according to a report in the Journal. The lawsuit seeks to overturn the sale of oil and gas drilling leases on about 41,000 acres of public land from December of 2018. The groups argue that the BLM held a 10-day protest period on the leases and did not allow a comment period on the environmental impact of the leases to the Dene communities of Torian and Ojo Encino on the Navajo Nation. The leased parcels are located near the Chaco Cultural National Historical Park. Wendy at City with Dene Citizens Against Ruining Our Environment, or Dene Care, one of the organizations that brought the lawsuit against the BLM, says that the lease sale will have a direct impact on the communities. Quote, within the nearly 41,000 acres of lease sale parcels are 4 to 5 municipal wells that provide water to Ojo Encino, Torian, Pueblo Pintado, and Whitehorse Lake, at City said. So far, the Bureau has failed to address health concerns and a water quality concern or provide opportunities for meaningful public participation in this whole process. The health of our communities needs to be coming first. In the BLM's environment assessment, it says that the oil and gas development will have an impact primarily on the Navajo Nation chapters and Hispanic communities near Cuba, New Mexico. The assessment reads, quote, Executive Order 12898 required federal agencies to promote environmental justice by determining and addressing as needed whether the agency's programs, policies, and activities have disproportionately high and adverse human health or environmental effects on minority populations and low-income populations, end quote. Yet, according to the lawsuit filed by the environmental groups, the BLM's public participation process falls short of the, quote, fair treatment and meaningful involvement for environmental justice to be met. The leased parcels are in Sandoval County, near the border of Rio Arriba and San Juan counties, and are about 30 miles east of the Chaco Cultural National Historical Park. In addition to Dene Care, Western Environmental Law Center, Wild Earth Guardians, San Juan Citizens Alliance, and the Sierra Club, Rio Grande chapter, joined the lawsuit against the BLM. The Environmental Coalition also alleged in the lawsuit that the federal agency did not adequately analyze the health effects of oil and gas drilling on local communities in its environmental assessment. Quote, the Bureau ignored the disproportionate health and safety risks of fracking and drilling, especially cumulative impacts to people and communities in the lease sale area, the coalition said in their news release. The lawsuit says that the Bureau is responsible for analyzing the emissions from oil and gas development and its impact to the climate, something the organizations say the BLM did not do. The groups also cited the disproportionate public health impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on the Navajo Nation communities. Quote, in the midst of a pandemic, we are forced back to court to defend Dene communities that continue to suffer from oil and gas impacts and related COVID-19 morbidity, said Wild Earth Guardians senior climate campaigner Rebecca Sobel. At a time where education mechanisms are so much in flux, it's truly a long-term impact potential as to what the next generations of children will be prepared for education-wise, whether they remain schooling at home, online, or in artificially created social settings at a physical school. You may not be aware that the college admission testings this year have been delayed and canceled all so far, chasing the standards, that's across the country, chasing the standard to judge students for entry into higher education. This really makes for a tricky future. The Journal reports locally that first-year students for the 2021-22 school year will not have to take SAT or ACT tests to gain admissions to Fort Lewis College in Durango, after many students, as I mentioned, were unable or scheduled dates for the college entrance exams because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Quote, for admissions for the next academic year, we will be testing optionally at Fort Lewis College, and students will not be required to submit scores for admission or for merit scholarship consideration. That was according to Jess Savage, Director of Admissions. In the spring of 2020, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, SAT, SAT, and ACT exams were canceled across the country, including Colorado. High school students typically take the college entrance exams in their junior year. In response, the General Assembly passed legislation temporarily allowing Colorado public institutions of higher education to determine whether to require national assessment test scores for admission for first-year students who graduate from high school in 2021. The temporary allowance and existing exceptions to state-mandated admission standards allow FLC to go entirely test optional for all students for the coming year. Quote, in addition to high school graduates, the law applies to, we also feel extending the same relief to all students is the right thing to do, Savage said. By making admission tests optional, students are relieved of the burden of rescheduling the test during the pandemic. FLC President Tom Striticus said that we're grateful for the leadership at the state level for students who were impacted by COVID-19. FLC has been examining broadening its admission process beyond test scores and recently introduced a holistic review method to assess students whose test scores would have otherwise made them inadmissible. Quote, I think it's absolutely the right move for FLC and for Colorado to drop SAT or ACT scores as part of the admission requirement, not only because at this point in time so many students have been impacted by COVID-19 and unable to access tests, but also because SATs and ACTs are not good predictions of college success, Savage said. Taking into account students' high school transcripts, their completion of the state higher education academic recommended courses, and understanding the context of their educational experiences, as well as what circumstances were present in their life, provide broader views of whether students will succeed, she said. Applicants will have the option to submit SAT or ACT scores with their college applications, but the scores will not be weighted heavily in the review process. Applicants who choose not to submit a test score for admission will not be negatively impacted. Students are welcome to send ACT or SAT scores as they may be helpful for placement purposes, Savage said. Quote, for example, if a student meets a minimum score on a standardized test subject, they may not need to take a placement exam for class registration. But a student should know that their test scores are not going to make or break their chance for admission. This is a huge change in the systemic mechanisms that the Department of Education has been steamrolling over our children for decades. Perhaps this is the time to have a major shift in what education really means, maybe away from the repetitive memorizing of specific data and text and towards learning how to learn, so it can be a lifelong process for everyone. Just a thought and a hope. Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of July 13th through the 19th, 2020. Deputies offered courtesy rides to 2 subjects. They took a report of a hit-and-run accident in town, and a deputy is investigating. There was an injured female reported at Navajo Lake. Rico Rescue responded, and the woman was flown out. A local resident reported losing their concealed carry permit, but it was later found. A possible fire was reported around the Montezuma-Dolores County line, and Cortez Dispatch was notified. Cortez Dispatch requested our sheriff's office be on the lookout for a vehicle out of Dolores, and deputies were advised. Suspicious activity was reported at a residence. A sheriff's deputy is investigating. Neighbor dispute was reported in the county, and a deputy de-escalated the situation. A bear was reported to be in town. A sheriff's deputy responded, and the Department of Wildlife was also notified. A tree fire was put out by the Dove Creek Fire Department. Fire department personnel and sheriff's deputies drove around looking for other smoldering trees potentials from the little storm that went through our area last weekend. They did locate one on BLM ground, and the Durango Interagency and BLM were notified. A campfire was reported down at Bradfield Bridge. Campers were notified that there is to be no fires in the Forest Service area at all. Smoke was reported on McLeod Point, and the sheriff's deputy and Dove Creek Fire were unable to locate it. For local updates and info in between the newscasts, check out our Facebook page, which is DCTV Daily News, where you can also watch the program replay along with news links and stories of local interest. And you too can share other events or news there and join in on the conversation. This is your local community TV station. If you have something you would like to share, contact us. The email is, again, dcbnnews@gmail.com, or you can call 970-677-4119. Thanks for tuning in to DCTV Daily News. Programs are broadcast Monday through Friday with replays online on our YouTube channel, or you can find it on the DCTV Daily News page on Facebook. And if you do like the program, please do like and follow us on Facebook and share it with your friends and family. This has been a production of DCTV for the DCTV Daily News program out of Dove Creek, Colorado, USA. I'm Kendra Cook. Thank you for watching.